The Ohio governor's race has just got significantly more interesting as we prepare to head into the November elections, where Ohio is going to serve a very important point in the November elections. We have some interesting news out in the race in mid-March. I want to begin today's video by talking about the 2026 race for not only Ohio governor, but also Ohio Senate. I wanted to start today's video also by letting you know that I thank you guys very much for your patience on getting back to filming these videos for you all. Unfortunately, I got sick last week, at the end of really about 2 weeks ago, and I have just recently really gotten completely over it to the point where I can actually talk and make videos and such. So I'm glad to be back and talking about elections with you all. I'm looking forward to talking about some more elections over the course of the next few weeks. But today, I thought that bringing back today's video and talking today specifically about this race seemed fitting, especially with the news that I received while at school today at college that some of the polling in this race has gotten significantly more interesting as well. Vivek Ramaswamy dealt double polling blow in the Ohio governor's race, and this is going to trickle down into that Senate race as well. That's going to be on the ballot for Democrats, where they really need to win this Ohio Senate race. So we're going to talk about both today, but I want to start by talking about the governor's race, where it's likely going to be Republican Vivek Ramaswamy, former presidential candidate in 2024, against Amy Acton, who is a former Ohio director of the Ohio Department of Health. For just about a year or so, she served in that role. And now she's running for governor, and she's the presumptive nominee for the Democrats, while the candidates for the Republicans is not set forth yet, although Vivek Ramaswamy is very likely going to be that candidate, especially considering having Trump's endorsement, etc. So Vivek Ramaswamy is going to run what's going to likely be a very interesting race for this governorship in Ohio in the 2026 midterm. So I want to start by talking about the polling in this race that I started out this video by talking about, which says the latest polling that we've seen out today was from Quantus Insights, which is a Republican-leaning polling company. And they have Amy Acton beating Vivek Ramaswamy by just about a percentage point. Emerson College poll in early December also had the same margin, 45 to 46%. And the only one in between it is EMC Research, which is Democratic-leaning pollster, that had Amy Acton up by 10 points. Now, I definitely do not believe that. That was mid-February, really, February 10th through the 22nd, but I don't believe that poll. But this Quantus Insights poll, that's a Republican-leaning pollster, 809 likely voters between March 13th and the 14th, having Amy Acton up by a percentage point is noteworthy, especially when we go over to the Senate race as well. If we go to the general election and take a look at the same poll, has John Husted defeating Sherrod Brown by about 2 points in that same poll, I believe it is, anyway. Maybe a different poll, actually. I may need to correct myself. It looks like the sample size is slightly different on there, so maybe a slightly different poll there. But overall, a very important noteworthy point is that Sherrod Brown seemingly having a tougher time defeating John Husted than maybe Amy Acton defeating Vivek Ramaswamy. Of course, we are still early in this race, and a lot's going to shake out over the next few months. But it's important to note early on in this as well. If we look at some of the other polling conducted in this race, the Emerson College poll, that same poll that we talked about for the governorship, 850, let's make sure that it's the same poll before I go talking. Yes, it is. Between the 6th and the 8th, Just double checking. Yes, the 6th through the 8th. So the same poll that had Amy Acton up by a percentage point through Emerson College at the beginning of December had John Husted up by 3 points. So if we take a look back at 2024, when Sherrod Brown lost this race, he only lost it by 3.6 percentage points, especially in a year very focused on Republicans. I mean, if we go to the presidential level, Trump won it by 11.2%. But on that Senate level, Sherrod Brown was able to still really pull out a very good, clean race. So the fact that he's struggling, but Amy Acton seemingly having a easier time, at least according to polling, on being able to convince voters that she's the best fit to be the next governor of Ohio is quite interesting to me as well. I thought it was a noteworthy point at that as well. So if we take a look at the 2018 race for Ohio governor, Mike DeWine only won this race in 2018 by 3.7%. Now this is important because this was the last time Donald Trump had a midterm in 2018, when he had that midterm for himself. After he'd been elected in 2016, come in 2018, he had a midterm between the 2016 and 2020 presidential elections, and Mike DeWine barely winning that race. I mean, similar margin to that of Bernie Moreno defeating Sherrod Brown in 2020, 3.6% and 3.7%. So very similar margins there on that note in that governor's race. So what's going to be different about 2018? Well, the first thing is that Mike DeWine and Vivek Ramaswamy are two very different candidates. I mean, Mike DeWine, just a very much more moderate type of centrist candidate, and Vivek Ramaswamy really pulling that Trump base out. Someone who in 2024, when he ran for president, was able to attract Trump-like voters because of his messaging and the way that he spoke. So this is going to be a significantly different race, Vivek Ramaswamy versus Amy Acton versus in 2018 with Mike DeWine. I mean, if we go back to 2022, Mike DeWine really did well in the state of Ohio. I mean, winning this race by 25 points, and now 4 years later, we're talking about a Democrat potentially taking over the governorship again after the Republican won 4 years ago by 25 points. I mean, this is really important stuff, and it's important because of how the races are going to shape out and what it means for the future. Moving over a little bit more to the Senate side of things, where Bernie Moreno defeated Sherrod Brown in 2020 by 3.6%, as we mentioned earlier. And John Husted is expected to defeat Sherrod Brown, according to that very similar Quantus Insights polling that was conducted the 13th, 14th of March, had John Husted up by 2 points. Now, I think that if this governor's race is as close as it's predicted to be, that there's a very high likelihood that we have not only Amy Acton winning the governorship, but also Sherrod Brown defeating John Husted in this race for Ohio Senate. I would not be surprised. It's still not on my prediction card yet, and when I do make my official prediction for the month of March on the Senate level at least, I still plan on having this in the Republican column. Of course, things change, things adapt, new polling comes out. We'll have to wait and see. But as of this point, John Husted certainly is the favorite to win this race for that Senate seat. With that noted, Sherrod Brown is someone you cannot count out. Like we said before, he only lost in 2020, the same ballot Donald Trump won by 11 points. He only lost by 3.5 percentage points. So Sherrod Brown in Ohio, in a state that he's familiar with, in a state that he's ran in time and time again and won, although he lost in 2024, coming in 2026 in a Democratic environment, it's very likely that Sherrod Brown could win this race. But, of course, I want to close out the video by talking about the race that we made today's video about. I mean, we're really just talking about Ohio in general throughout today's video, but I wanted to go back and circle back to this race for Ohio governor, where Vivek Ramaswamy is facing a really tough challenge, where Amy Acton actually has a shot at winning this race. I mean, according to polling, Amy Acton's more likely to win this governor's race than Sherrod Brown, a former senator, is to win his Senate seat against an incumbent Senator John Husted. Of course, we'll have to wait and see. John Husted, former lieutenant governor of the state, now senator. But it's going to be interesting, and it's also important to note that whether Sherrod Brown or John Husted wins in 2026, they'll have to face re-election again in 2028 to a full 6-year term. So with all of that said, let me know what you think in the comments below. Of course, at this point, I still believe that the Senate race is probably slightly in favor of Republicans, and I believe that this governor's race is seemingly going to be a toss-up at this point. I mean, we even see some of the prediction markets. I mean, race to the White House since February 2nd has this as a toss-up. Crystal ball, likely Republicans since September 4th. Inside election, solid Republicans since August. And the Cook Political report likely Republicans since May of last year. I'm not sure that I agree with these summaries. I think it's probably more like toss-up or maybe even lean Republican. Certainly not solid Republican as Inside Elections predicts. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you believe that Amy Acton can pull off an upset and defeat Vivek Ramaswamy and be the first Democrat elected across this state? Well, not the first Democrat elected across the state, but the first Democratic governor elected across the state in a number of years? Or do you believe that Vivek Ramaswamy will pull this off, that Ohio has trended Republican, and that there's no way to really defeat those odds? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Also, let me know what you think about the Senate race. Thank you guys for bearing with me through today's video, and I'm looking forward to filming some more content for you guys in the next few days. Thank you guys again so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.